I have called up for the press conference, which very much will involve a press release. But I will release the press statement only after I have read it. All right? Now, we think it is a very vital information that we are about to release, which has taken place in the court since Friday. I know, I must apologize, I may not have read all the press reporting, but I can say the last Friday punya spirit of what Datuk Seri Najib has testified regarding what transpired in the US, how the US government has literally been uncooperative and in fact obstructed certain evidence that should come to Datuk Seri Najib that would have assisted to show that he is not guilty, but other people are guilty. But these were captured very well. You can refer to The Age, reported on Friday, and I think Malaysia Kini reported on Friday quite well. All right. Now, but for today, because there were further evidence that was released, I want to read something. I've got both in Malay and in English press release. But let me read the one in English, then I'll give to you whatever language that you want. Datuk Seri Najib Razak, through his legal team, filed a Section 172 application in New York to obtain crucial evidence following the guilty plea of Tim Leissner, a former Goldman Sachs executive who admitted on oath to bribing 1MDB officials and government officials. Remember that, eh? He admitted that. A 1782 application is a legal mechanism that allows parties to seek evidence located in the United States for use in foreign legal proceedings, such as in Malaysia. This effort underscores Datuk Seri Najib's unwavering commitment to uncovering and presenting the truth, particularly in light of Tim Leissner's admission of bribery, which has significant implications for the allegations against him in Malaysia and would tend to expose the actual culprits in Malaysia. Can you tell them to keep quiet? The application sought to depose Tim Leissner and representatives of Goldman Sachs, as well as obtain documentary evidence related to the alleged bribery of 1MDB and government officials. Notably, the US judge hearing the 1782 application initially granted Datuk Seri Najib's application for the issuance of subpoena, a critical step towards securing evidence that could illuminate key facts and provide exculpatory evidence for Datuk Seri Najib's defense, including determining whether the witnesses testifying against him in the Malaysian proceeding were bribed by Tim Leissner and rendering their testimonies compromised or tainted. I need to explain that a little bit. You know, we have got witnesses in this country in this trial. Shahrul, Hazim, Azmi, Jasmine Lu, and many others. Some were directors in 1MDB. They have given evidence. But Tim Leissner in the New York court said he has bribed 1MDB officials and some government officials. So this is to apply in the New York court, which we got, to say, who did you bribe? Because Datuk Seri Najib wants to know, who did you bribe? Because if you bribe these witnesses, my cross-examination becomes very potent, very tajam, because I can show you got no credibility. So it's important I can even impeach those witnesses. So that's how important it is. Now, the application was granted. But surprise, see what happens. However, out of the blue, the Department of Justice, DOJ, US, intervened in the 1782 proceedings, requesting a stay to halt Goldman Sachs and Tim Leissner from complying with the subpoena and disclosing the information sought by Datuk Seri Najib. So this is DOJ punya kerja to stop it. Roger Ng's lawyer, another accused person in another court, this time in the south of New York. Roger Ng's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, who was perplexed, confused by this intervention by DOJ, described their actions as favoring and representing Goldman Sachs rather than their commitment to justice. This intervention led Mark Agnifilo to formally request permission from the judge in Roger Ng's criminal matter to lift a protective order, which would allow Ng to provide exculpatory evidence to Datuk Seri Najib. Agnifilo explicitly stated in his court submission that he was ethically and morally bound to disclose evidence that could benefit Datuk Seri Najib's defense in Malaysia. Despite this, the DOJ objected, arguing the release of evidence on the grounds that it would prejudice their ongoing prosecution. So, you need an explanation. One is happening in East New York Court, that is, what's the name, Tim Leissner and Goldman Sachs. We applied, we got it, and they want to stay it. DOJ want to stay it. But in the south of New York, another court, dealing with the trial of Roger Ng, Roger Ng's counsel, and Roger Ng, of course, felt that this order against them, a protective order, they call it a protective order to protect their own trial. You have to give exception, because Roger Ng and his counsel decided that they have a moral obligation. They have discovered evidence that is exculpatory of Datuk Seri Najib. That means evidence to show that Datuk Seri Najib may be completely innocent. That means there are other people behind the scene that has in fact been dealing and has been in conspiracy without Datuk Seri Najib knowledge at all. So, what this application is all about, for those of you yang need some explanation dalam bahasa Melayu, di mahkamah di New York Selatan, mahkamah New York Selatan, di mana Roger Ng pada masa itu sedang diperbicarakan di dalam kes jenayah beliau. Roger Ng sendiri dan counsel dia terasa terkilan sebab mereka ada dalam milikan mereka keterangan-keterangan yang boleh menunjukkan bahawa Datuk Seri Najib terinaya dan mungkin kemungkinan besar tidak salah dalam pertuduhan di mahkamah sini. Jadi mereka juga meminta kebenaran mahkamah di supaya order yang telah diberikan terlebih dahulu dalam Roger Ng case, a protective order, be varied, diubah suai supaya dia orang boleh berikan kepada Datuk Seri Najib keterangan exculpatory ini. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan boleh mungkin tak percaya, DOJ masuk dalam court ini juga. This is what happened. This intervention led Mark Agnifilo to formally request permission from the judge in Roger Ng's criminal matter to lift a protective order which would allow Ng to provide exculpatory evidence to Datuk Seri Najib. Agnifilo explicitly stated in his court submission that he was ethically and morally bound to disclose evidence that could benefit Datuk Seri Najib's defense in Malaysia. Despite this, the DOJ objected, arguing against the release of evidence on the grounds that it would prejudice their ongoing prosecutions. Unfortunately, the judge overseeing Roger Ng's case ultimately sided with the DOJ and disallowed the disclosure of this exculpatory evidence, despite Mark Agnefilo's ethical and moral assertion. I stopped there for a while, explain to you, counsels seems to be much more ethical than the courts and the DOJ put together, because they feel that Datuk Seri Najib ought to be told. This obstruction raises profound concerns about fairness and transparency, particularly when the withheld evidence has the potential to exonerate Datuk Seri Najib. By blocking access to such critical evidence, the DOJ's actions undermine the principle of due process and the right to a fair trial. You remember, ya? Orang yang selalu melolong-lolong dan bising berkenaan dengan fair trial principle, human right, ialah Amerika Syarikat. And DOJ kononnya. Tapi dalam kes ini, they behave completely different. To compound matters further, the judge in the 1782 application, iaitu di East New York, subsequently granted the government motion to stay, effectively halting Datuk Seri Najib's ability to depose Goldman Sachs representative and Tim Leissner or obtain documentary evidence yang boleh menolong kes dia. This decision denied access to information that could clarify the identity of the 1MDB and government officials allegedly bribed and reveal the full extent of the scheme. It also hinders Datuk Seri Najib's ability to defend himself in the Malaysian courts against allegation that he received gratification in relation to 1MDB transaction. It is important to emphasize that Datuk Seri Najib's decision to initiate a legal application in the very jurisdiction where allegations were first leveled against him in 2016. Ingat, Datuk Seri Najib punya problem began in DOJ in 2016. And we went to US, DOJ blocked us. You just imagine what kind of hypocrisy the system in the US and DOJ has got. Now, as Datuk Seri Najib himself testified in court earlier today, filing such an application for the disclosure of who were the 1MDB and government official bribed by Tim Leissner in the United States, the very jurisdiction that made this damaging allegation, would be insane. I want to explain. Dia kata, why would I make this application in the US? Through us. Then we employed US lawyers, top US lawyers. He said, why would I do that if I am guilty? Because the disclosure will show I'm guilty. Maybe I'm one of the officials. But I want this information to come out because I know I'm not involved. And the best thing is, Roger Ng said it is exculpatory. That means Datuk Seri Najib, keterangan ni kalau keluar, memang dia tak bersalah. Quite clear. It's as clear as daylight. So dia kata hanya orang yang sewel yang akan membuat permohonan sedemikian kalau dia salah ataupun dia terlibat. Alright. So despite this effort, Datuk Seri Najib is now forced to fight his case with his hand tied behind his back. The obstruction of access to evidence that could exonerate him is not just an injustice to him as an individual, but a broader assault on the principle of fairness and due process. Now, the rest I don't have to read, because I'm going to give you a copy. I don't want to bore you, but you must know, Article 16 of the US sama dengan our Article 5 and Article 8. The right to fair trial is implicit in it. How can you get fair trial if you purposely withhold information dalam investigation that will show Datuk Seri Najib is innocent? How can you do that? And how can this so-called big brother who wants to be big brother in the world, the US government, withhold this information when there is an individual here who's suffering here because this information is not provided to him. All right? So this is, as I've said, is hypocrisy of the highest order. You remember the cases that I've told you before, the Birmingham 6 and the Guildford 4 in England. What if you have seen the movie that was produced as a result of Birmingham 6, semua 6 didapati tidak bersalah dalam kes bom, pengeboman 14 banyak orang mati dan sebagainya. Akhirnya selepas 22 tahun didapati bahawa ada satu kotak yang dikatakan keterangan-keterangan yang tak akan digunakan dan tercatat di atas kotak itu not to be shown to the lawyers. Ini didapati, terbocor didapati, as a result of which all 6 were found to be innocent. Macam kes ini, why not show to Datuk Seri Najib what is the evidence yang apparently exculpatory? So nampak sangat. This afternoon, I want to tell you, I want to make an application for us to interview Roger Ng. Roger Ng telah dibawa balik ke sini. Saya nak lihat apa angkara pihak prosecution. Dia akan bantu kita atau dia objek, saya tak tahu. Let us see that. And lastly, I want to say, all this, you must know, is a lot of hard work. I did some work, but my team, especially Cik Tania dengan Wan, has been working like a dog. Day in, day out. Bangun pukul 2 pagi, every day. Bangun pukul 2 pagi, every day. We have been doing this because it is not because it is Datuk Seri Najib alone. But we believe that the entire system of government is pitted against one individual. Now it is 2 systems of government, Malaysia and US, is bullying my client. Can you imagine if that were to happen to you? Inshallah it doesn't happen. But assuming it happens to you or your family member, grandchildren and all that, do you want a system like that? Can you tolerate a system like that? Tunggu dulu. That is what I want to pose to you. Okay, yes.
Tan Sri, bila cadangan untuk mendapatkan keterangan daripada Roger Ng, adakah orang kata positif untuk boleh dapatkan keterangan daripada Roger Ng?
Saya nak interview dia dulu. Saya nak tengok. Interview is a first step. Kalau dia orang block saya interview, akan amat nyata lah apa yang dia orang sedang buat. Sebab Roger Ng dalam kurungan polis di Malaysia.
So kalau dijangka Tan Sri akan mengusulkan permohonan bila kepada
petang ni? Petang ni, 2.30. Ya, saya nak minta pada hakim, saya nak tengok. Kalau dia kata buat permohonan bertulis, saya akan buat permohonan bertulis. Okay? Yes.
Is there any possibility that Roger Ng will be called as a defense?
That is the reason we want to interview. But we tak mau panggil Roger Ng secara membuta tuli. We interview dulu, buat kerja dulu. Who knows? Roger Ng by now has been turned over. We don't know. We do not know. Okay? But we know when he was in the US, through his counsel, dia rasa terkilan dan rasa guilty. Yang ada keterangan yang begitu ketara yang memihak Datuk Seri Najib, menunjukkan Datuk Seri Najib tidak terlibat dalam 1MDB punya skandal. Orang lain yang buat.
Another one, on the state of proceedings by US Magistrate Catherine Parker, it was made by May 7, 2021, right?
Right.
Do you have any update on it? Because it's 2024 right now. So
It was granted. It was granted. And so we were blocked from getting that evidence.
Dalam press release you will see.
Yes.
It was granted. Dia bagi. Catherine Parker kata you come within 1782. Granted. And then tiba-tiba
US government stay, right?
DOJ minta stay. Why would you stay? Why would you stay? Seolah-olah orang yang kena tuduh di Amerika lebih matters dan orang yang kena tuduh di Malaysia. Seolah-olah kita second class, banana republic. They don't care whether the man is going to be mistreated here. But they say they are interested in world justice, world human rights.
Tan Sri, obvious political persecution in Malaysia and now in the US.
Yes.
With Trump 2.0, how do you feel?
Okay, let me say this to begin with. We have always believed that this DOJ announcement in 2016 was politically motivated. You remember, it was just before the election of 2018. We always believed that it was engineered by many person headed by the US. They wanted a regime change in Malaysia. That was under the Democrat, and Obama was then the president, and Loretta Lynch was the AG. Until today, that forfeiture proceeding is never tried. Until today, it's just allegations. Okay? So, but you must know, US is involved in all kind of regime change throughout the world. You must know that. Jangan diperbodohkan lagi. It is quite clear. The reason why they do not want us to be so close to China is also because of that. Because they want to be the big brother. Alright? Okay, tetapi malangnya pada 2016 ataupun earlier, orang-orang kita sendiri, orang Malaysia sendiri, VIP yang pergi ke US, FBI dan memberikan macam-macam maklumat yang tak betul supaya rejim kita bertukar, government kita bertukar. Alright?